All right. Hello again. Back here at Brown Neck Reviews, and I am that guy. And so today I wanted to go over another one of my airsoft toys that I got here, and that is my Arcturus AR06. So this is it right here. It's my Arcturus AR06. It's based off of the M4 platform. And I wanted to talk about the Arcturus company. I actually bought this this replica. Well, I don't know if you could call it a replica, but this airsoft gun off of eBay after coming back into airsoft a couple months ago, and I was actually looking for something that was probably that I could build out, and I didn't know about this company Arcturus. I just saw that the listing on eBay was at a low price, so I ended up buying it because I needed an M4. Out of all the airsoft guns that I have, I don't actually have an AEG M4. I have gas blowbacks, a couple of LMG replicas, and a couple of AKs, but I did not have an M4 replica. So I bought this because it was cheap, basically on eBay, and I thought that, yeah, I could probably fix whatever's going on with that. And it actually came. The only thing that was wrong with it was the original stock was missing a pin where you couldn't adjust the length of pull. So I took that off and I replaced it, obviously, on here. But as I was looking into this replica, I found out about this company called Arcturus, and it intrigued me a little bit. So I wanted to talk about them a little bit. So Arcturus, I think, was started around 2017, and they make airsoft guns, basically. But there's a difference here. When I first started, we had companies like JG and I think what was the other one. There were a bunch of companies that made these really cheap airsoft replicas, and A&K, and they were considered to be mid-range type of replicas. But actually, my first airsoft M4 was an A&K S system, which I no longer have. It actually blew up in various places after using it quite a bit, and so I ended up selling that off to fund other airsoft toys that I got. But I ended up with no M4 after that, and now here we are. So Arcturus makes these airsoft replicas, and they have whole different lines, and I guess they're known right now for their AK series, particularly their AK-12 that they have. Their build quality on their AR06. Now this model is actually a couple years old already, so I don't think this is a current model that they sell. I think they do sell it, but it's like been discontinued everywhere. But this one has the full metal receiver on there, which is what I was looking for, a full metal receiver, and it has a couple other things that I'll go into later on. But after looking at some of the guns that they have, they actually have some pretty good innovations. And one thing in particular, well, I'll go over some of the features, but they also make optics, and you can get military discount if you are law enforcement or military, I think, because I think they actually originated from law enforcement people. But this company, to me, is one of those companies that I will actually push just because I like them. I'm actually in no way sponsored by Arcturus, just so you guys know. I actually paid for this stuff with my own money, and because I thought it was worth buying, not knowing that this company was actually pretty innovative. And I like companies like that that actually kind of do a cross cross content stuff with airsoft and real firearms. So, but yeah, so that's Arcturus, and now I want to talk about the AR06 itself. Now, this is the base gun that we're working with, and I wanted to go over some of the basic features that it came with. So the Arcturus, this right here, has a full metal upper and lower receiver. Now I know that right now they're saying that they have polymer airsoft guns that are stronger, but I don't know. After my first airsoft A&K, I'm kind of put off by polymer receivers. It's not something that I really want to spend any money into right now with that, knowing what I've known before. And the receivers, actually, there is no wobble on this at all. You could turn this thing, and usually you'll have a little bit of wobble in between the upper and the lower. And that's not just the case with airsoft guns, but also with real steel firearms, where you have a little bit of that wobble, which they have certain things that can get rid of it. I usually just keep it there because it doesn't really affect anything as long as it's all lined up with your buffer tube spring and everything on the real firearm. So I kind of leave that alone. But I was very pleasantly surprised to see that this is actually very, very solid in its lockup of the upper and lower receiver. It does have an ambidextrous bolt catch. Okay, so you have on that side, and then the paddle on the other side right there. This on a real firearm is great because when you pull it back, you can charge the weapon on a real firearm just by pressing the button on here if you have your index finger right here, and that's something that you're used to. This is something that I don't have on any of my real firearms. When I actually saw this, that kind of turned me off a little bit, but it was because I wanted something that was more true to what you would say standard AR lower receiver, with the bolt catch being on one side. I have used a Magpul bolt release thing that went here, but I didn't like it because it was actually in the trigger guard, so I took it off on my real gun. But this has actually turned out to be a really nice feature that I didn't know that I would actually like so much. Originally with airsoft guns, when you would need to adjust the hop up, you would pull it back and you would have to hold it with your hand while you did your adjustments. But here it'll stay open, and I can adjust the hop up and then release it when I'm done without having to hold that charging handle back. So I find that really, really cool. The other thing that it has on there with that is the other thing that I really liked about this, which I found very nice, was that this uses you can actually use a mil-spec buffer tube on this thing, and when you're switching out the stock on this. So usually with airsoft guns, you're gonna have a system in there that holds that buffer tube in, but here this is more this is more, I guess, correct to the real steel type of system of removing the buffer tube. So here's the buffer tube, and then and on the real steel firearm, you take off this castle nut and the buffer tube can basically come out. So here, I can actually remove this castle nut right here with your standard AR armorer's wrench. And it comes out exactly like a real steel firearm would. Okay? Then you would unscrew your buffer tube this way. Right? And now, yeah, of course there's the battery plug on here, but normally on an older AEG you would have a piece right here that you would have to screw your gearbox into to retain the gearbox and the buffer tube. The buffer tube would go over it, and sometimes it would be held in by a pin. But I like this system because it's basically replicating the same thing. And here you have now access to your quick change spring system for the Airsoft replica. That right there, I like that a lot. It's one of these things where little things to me kind of, make a big difference in my perception of a company and how they do stuff. So kudos to their engineering design team for this little detail that they have on here. And also, other cool features about this is that it has a micro switch trigger. I know that usually with the AEGs they had a standard trigger, but this trigger actually uses a micro switch. So when you pull it, there's an actual wall, and then actually let me put it on semi here, and then you can when you pull it, it'll click. All right, and that'll replicate like a brake when you're firing this thing. I love that. This is about a 2-pound, I think a 2-pound trigger pull if you measure it with a trigger pull gauge, and it has a lovely micro switch brake, which I think is great. They actually had micro switches on LMGs like the ANK M60 and the ANK M249, but this is the first one that I saw that has it here on a Airsoft M4 replica type. So I love that. Now, the caveat to that is that currently, well, as far as this taping, I don't know of any ETUs that'll work with a micro switch. Any aftermarket ETUs that I could plug in. All of the ETUs that I found will only work with the regular triggers that the Airsoft world has had for like the last 20 years for AEGs. But yeah, that's a great feature. And the hop-up itself also is a rotary hop-up. Okay. Back when I first started, to get a rotary hop-up, that was like $45 just to get an aftermarket Mad Bull rotary. And this also has a nitrided barrel in there, which is really smooth. And I thought that was great. I mean, that's great. I mean, it's a brass barrel, but still it's nitrided, and so the inner part of the barrel is super smooth, and which is very important because these are smooth bore type of systems and not rifled. So the smoothness of that barrel all the way through and consistency will has a lot in determining the range and also the accuracy consistency of your little plastic BB landing where it's going to land. So that was great that they had that. And as I went through the gun, there were a couple other things that I was like, wow, it's pretty sweet. They have, the gearbox itself is reinforced. And so if you worked on AEGs, you'll know that the area that goes around the cylinder usually cracks due to stress of that piston in there going back and forth. But they actually reinforced all four corners of that on both sides of the gearbox. And that to me is really, really nice. So there's already a lot of pluses there. The shimming, when I took it apart, was basically perfect. It was actually better than what I could have done. So I left all that alone, and everything. But I did do one thing that I had to modify with regards to the gearbox, and that is the wiring. I had to resolder the wires for a inline MOSFET, which I'm using here. So this is just the standard inline MOSFET, okay, that I'm using for the replica, and that's so that I don't wear out my trigger contact. So it's only putting I think it's 3 volts to the actual micro switch, and then the rest of the voltage is going straight to the motor from the battery directly into the motor, which of course will result in quicker trigger response as well as rate of fire for this. The other thing that this came with was this really, really nice hand grip. I was surprised. The hand grip itself came with, I think right here somewhere. Oh, there we go. Came with back straps for comfort for your hand. So you have this extra back strap that you could put, and I think the stock one was this right here, where it didn't have this contour right here, so it would just be your, actually this is the front, so this is for the little, so you could have that shelf, that figure shelf on there, which is something reminiscent of a standard A2 grip. I don't like that finger shelf, so I took this off and I put this contoured one, which it came with, onto there. This also has an ambi selector switch. That's something that I like, that I didn't know I actually needed. So I actually have this also. I installed this on my real firearms, and this came stock with this ambi selector. So those are a couple things with the basic gun. Oh, and the original furniture. This is the original handguard that it came with. It's okay, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm not too into the whole aggressive styling, and it does have the M lock on your 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions, and your 6 o'clock positions at the bottom, in addition to some Picatinny rails right here, and your standard QD sling point mounts. So this is a good functional rail, but I don't know. I'm just, to me, I guess that's just one of those Gucci things that I like to change out. So I changed out the rail, and I also changed out the stock, because, and it also came with this, I think, this polymer sight. I immediately took these off because I don't usually like running polymer sights on there, and this actually has an A2 profile right now, so has the built-in rear sight and the built-in front iron sight right there on your Mach A2 gas block. All right. Oh, the magazines. So one thing that I discovered. Okay, so this actually came with two magazines. One of them is a high cap, and the other one is a standard magazine. So this is your standard mid cap. I think it holds 120 rounds or so. I could be wrong, but there is a feature on this where if you're going to be using this thing for any kind of training, you can actually limit this to a 30 round magazine, and by taking it out here, and there we go. There's a little switch right there, okay, to switch to a 30 round standard capacity magazine. Well, in firearms world, that would be a standard capacity magazine. So, I thought that feature was actually really nice, really innovative. These are things that, I'm really surprised seeing after so many years of being out of airsoft, and just seeing these things was just really, really cool to me. I kind of nerded out on it, when I got my gun. And, thank you to the seller who sold me this, basically saying that, oh yeah, it's got a broken stock, and, and I took a chance on it, and it paid off pretty good for me, I think, actually. All right. And so that is your, I guess, the Arcturus magazine that comes with it. And I think it also came with a high cap mag. All right. And, so you could put your BBs in there. And this is their high cap mag, but it comes with, now, usually, well, I guess I've been out for so long, but they used to have a wheel that you would have to spin right here to load this thing up, because it would have like 300 BBs in there, and you would have to load it up as the chamber would run dry. But this has this little zip thing right there. So as you zip it, it actually starts loading the BBs into the loading area, and then you can close it up, and there you go. It's ready to go. Your high cap M4 magazine. So this is, these things alone are like modifications that you would have had to get back in the day, and I think they are great. So let me talk about my specific setup here that I have on here. So many of you will notice that this is a, this is what they call a carry handle type of format that I have on here. It's not, doesn't have all the cool looking handguard stuff on there and everything. And that is because I am a boomer, and this profile is what I was used to seeing, and not in airsoft, but in real life, especially in the military, where this is kind of the format that you train with when you're in basic training or doing your what do you call it, qualifications for rifle. But and so we're gonna go from the front to the back here. So I've put the standard birdcage flash hider on here, as well as the front sight post. Your A2 front sight post. This does have the little bayonet lug on there. That's what that is. And if the barrel was a little bit longer, I could probably fit a nice, real bayonet. And we've got the barrel itself. So this barrel is a 12-inch barrel because I wanted a little bit of a longer barrel for this profile. And so I got this. This barrel is made actually by 5KU, so I did have to put some tape on the barrel to kind of make it fit and to lock it into the hop up into the gearbox. So that's aftermarket. I've got this rail here which fits onto your standard M16. I think it's a 7.5 or M4 system. This rail is made by Daniel Defense. This is a Daniel Defense Omega rail. And the way it works is you got to use the handguard lock ring to install it, and then you've got four set screws in there that you tighten up, and that locks it so there's no wobble on there. The flashlight here that I'm using is a Surefire clone of their M300, and I use a clone because it's an airsoft gun and I'm not too worried about recoil damaging the internals or anything, and I just wanted to, I guess, look the part and be functional at the same time. And I'm using a standard dual pressure switch, and that is for the laser, which is right there. See that? And also the light. Okay. So I did have to modify the plug that goes into the switch, because the switch itself came with a standard, I think, crane plug, original crane plug, which is an older style, to this right here. And so I had to modify that on the switch, which I did, and now I can just plug it right into the flashlight just like that. And as we go on to this, the locking ring for the barrel itself I got off of a spare upper that I had, with a real steel upper that I had, and I took it off of there and I put it on here because I didn't want to have to buy another delta ring just for an airsoft toy. This does have a little mock gas tube in there also. I don't know if you can see that in there, but there is a mock gas tube that goes in there. And the carry handle is a UTG carry handle that I got when, actually, this PEC box right here and this optic are about 15 years old, because I got those used a long time ago when I bought a parts gun off of someone, and those pieces actually came with that gun, and I'm used. So I don't know who makes them, but this PEC box actually functions. It actually has the flashlight as well as the laser, which you saw earlier, and I think it'll actually do both. So actually, let me show you the flashlight. So if I hit the, I'm not sure, yeah. So there's a little flashlight that it has, and I think it does both. So if I do this, yeah. So it'll do the laser and the flashlight at the same time also. So, which is pretty cool. And those were kind of bonuses that I got. And so this is a replica of a Trigicon ACOG, and this is a 4-power replica. So there is no illumination on the inside of this replica, but it did come with this kill flash on here, which is pretty useful, especially in airsoft, so the BBs don't break the glass. I mean, the glass in this thing's already cracked on the inside a little bit, but it's still functional, so I still use it, and because I don't want to have to buy another replica. And this actually bolts right on to the carry handle, because most ACOGs, as far as I know, have that cut where you can mount it onto a Picatinny rail, or take it off the Picatinny rail adapter and bolt it right on to this standard format carry handle. And of course, this has your standard A2 rear rear sight right there with adjustability for windage and elevation, as well as the front, which is also adjustable for elevation. And that just bolts right on there. So this stock is a B5, well, I guess it's a copy of a B5 system stock that I actually used on my SBR. Yes, I have an NFA SBR that is registered and tax stamped, but I took it off of that and I put it on here because I like this specific not style, but it has a great, it's very comfortable. And so the first time I shot with a B5 stock, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty awesome. This is actually, technically, I think it's a SOP-mod stock, which was originally made by LMT, I think. But this is a copy of that, and it has its full adjustability on there. And also the little compartments in there where you would put your candy, you know, or if you wanted batteries or something. But mainly I think those are used for candy, for, you know, a little bit of extra sugar kick. And let's see, what else do I have on here that is not, oh yeah, I did add that MOSFET onto here inline to go with it. This does come, I forgot to mention, this does come with a tool to adjust or to take out the spring in there, which our Arcturus includes, which is this little tool right here, and you use this to change out the spring in there. And so that is, oh, I did change out the motor, and I installed the MOSFET so that, because I knew that the motor that I was going to probably put in here is going to be a little bit more than what the micro switch can handle. This is actually running a T238 brushless motor in there, and so far I've had no problems with this MOSFET and that motor. I have another airsoft gun that has a fancy ETU in it, and that thing has problems with brushless motors. But this one right here, this setup right here, because it's an inline MOSFET with basically no special features or anything, it's not having any problems with that. So that is kind of the shimming in here. The stock shimming on this Arcturus gearbox is awesome. So if you get an Arcturus, you know, M4 or whatever, don't mess with that shimming. I mean, that's, and and I haven't changed any of that shimming, and this has been through, I think, probably about 5,000 rounds of BBs, because I've been playing around, and it's been smooth and with no problem. And this is running again, a brushless motor in there. So with that gear set. So with that is my overview of my Arcturus AR06. I think this is one of the, you know, this is probably going to end up being one of my favorite airsoft guns. Currently it's not my favorite. Unfortunately, my favorite is still my old school A&K M249 with a Daytona gun system in it. But this is coming in pretty close. I do like it, and I have not yet fielded this at any airsoft event, but this is basically gonna be my go-to carbine. Oh, I do have another upper that I did build for it, and this is the upper that I have for it. This is another standard. This comes with a replica Daniel Defense wrist 2 rail that they used, and this actually has a 11-inch barrel, I think. This optic again was another optic that I got used out of a parts kit from a long time ago, and surprisingly it still works. It works very well, and as well as the magnifier that came with it. You know, it flips out and everything. I did actually no, these sights right here actually came with this rail, which I'm very happy to sell because I was able to get this rail for a really good price. The receiver itself is an Arcturus receiver that I am using on there, because I did buy another receiver for the one that's currently on my replica. So this is my, I guess you would call it CQB upper that I will use with this. So the cool thing about M4s is that their uppers are easily changed out, which is nice because I can actually change it out with this by just taking out this pin. Actually, let me show you right here. So this pin is a little bit tight on there. Normally with the real steel AR pattern rifle, that pin should be able to knock out by putting pressure and then just kind of banging the buttstock onto the ground. But this one is a little bit tight, so it does come out. But I gotta use a punch for this, and I'm sure it'll wear in over time as I swap these uppers out. Whoop. Still in there a little bit. So let me take this out. Pop-ups out. So one thing when you gotta look out for when taking these uppers off is that pop-up in there, because it'll snag. You don't. I don't know why this is binding right now. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. That's right. And also the dust cover. This is an aftermarket dust cover that, again, I got free a while back because I needed a dust cover for this thing. And this will actually accept your real steel dust covers. And so there it is. So there's your gearbox on there. It's very nice. They use very nice components on there. And then if you needed to swap in your other upper, just simply slide this on here like that, and this doesn't have any tension on it, so this should just pop in with the there we go. That's what it's supposed to be done. So now I have my CQB set up for my airsoft gun. So yeah, this is very I guess Mark 18-ish, I guess, except for the QD things on there. But yeah, that's it right there. That is my review of the Arcturus AR06 Airsoft replica, well, toy gun. And yes, I do emphasize that this is a toy, just so that certain algorithms don't freak out, as we know that they usually, oh, there, went right in. Perfect. All right. They usually do. So, there it is. Arcturus AR06 from, I'm not sure what year this one was made, but I do love this replica. And once again, pray to Jesus, and God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the troops. Amen.